see. Peace, y'all. Gotta see if this is connected to YouTube. Matter of fact, in the live chat, let me know if you could hear me, see me clearly. May take a little second. All right. Cool. I have to redo already. Yeah, I did it through the mobile app and had to deal with the little technicalities of switching it from doing it on the mobile phone to the mobile phone. That sound old school. On the cell phone, But peace. Y'all know what it is. Now the vibrate. Spoiler alert, for sure. Cause I'm talking about the little movie. Everything everywhere all at once. All these little multiverse movies coming out right now. You know what I'm saying? And of course, with any, movies and shows like that, you got to be aware that they're going to have certain little subtle subconscious programming, in it. For the most part, this wasn't, you know, uh, too loaded with any, you know what I'm saying? Too much, confusing programming in that sense. But also importantly, too, though, tying that movie into, the multi-dimensional aspect of ourself, and the different layers of our being, whether we talk about doing shadow work, inner child work, past life work, in essence, that's, multi-dimensional work, you know what I'm saying? That's working with the different dimensions of our being, you know what I'm saying? And one of the aspects, I want to speak on is, again, the health issues in connection with karma, and what happened recently for me, a little story time, had this bad toothache, type of feeling. And mind you, I don't eat candy, I don't eat a lot of barely any. The closest I get to processed sugar every now and then, I might eat me a little vegan dessert or something like that, you know what I'm saying? But no, candy or nothing like that on that level. But just I'm talking about bad pain, and also somewhat like a headache, you know. So mine being, like I knew, of course, it was something, with all of it, it's all metaphysical or spiritual, in some way, form, or fashion, first and foremost, So I'm like, all right, what is this? You know what I'm saying? And what always come to me, first thing come to mind is like, all right, teeth, bones, Saturn energy. It's in my mouth, so maybe something to do with expression or speaking. You know what I'm saying? And so, on top of getting my internal answers, I was guided to also click on YouTube. As a matter of fact, this brethren, Tony Mills, TonyMills. I went to it brought me to one of his videos because I was like, what's the spiritual symbolism of toothaches, and basically he had a video that went right to it. And again, for the most part, doing our own little, inner awareness. Because again, like, and I'm gonna get into that, dealing with the zodiac signs, you know, automatically I know that, all right, I'm dealing with Aries energy because this is in my face, this is in my head, you know what I'm saying? So it has something to do with Aries energy, and lo and behold, that's what the situation was about, you know what I'm saying? It was about, dealing with anger, you know what I'm saying? But again, the teeth and the bones, Saturn energy, and also dealing with karma. And matter of fact, Tony Mills, he brought up a book called The Healing Power of Illness, to check out in connection with that. Yes, aqua aura, that aspect too, you know, uh, biting into life. Or matter of fact, so uh, let's see, because I actually put that down here. Life force. But just getting into it, so again, having that toothache and kind of having that little migraine energy, and one of the things it pointed to was dealing with anger, frustration, and also perfectionism too, in essence. Because you could get aggravated if you're trying to, be so perfect about things. You know what I'm saying? That could cause some type of frustration and agitation. You know what I'm saying? And also, this pain symbolized my connection with the, again, everything is archetypical energies. So as much as we be like, oh, that's Aries or that's Libra, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Leo, whatever the case may be, it's an archetypical energy, just in the rawness of it, you know what I'm saying, first and foremost. And in essence, it's just different perspectives of elements, you know what I'm saying? The fire element with Aries, or, the air element with Libra. And, something else that came to me is like right now, especially going into this full moon, and the full moon, if I'm not mistaken, is in Aries, and we're in Libra season. Yep, we're in Libra season, full moon in Aries. And, something came to me about like a lot of the divine masculines having to deal with, transmuting anger issues, you know what I'm saying? Like transmuting, holding on to grudges, or like expressing aggression in a toxic manner, you know what I'm saying? Because the key to it, and this comes to the shadow work aspect of it, it's like sitting there and, embracing the anger, like realizing that, anger, like all emotions are valid and have, importance. And it's all like a symbol or a sign that's trying to let you know something about yourself, you know what I'm saying? Trying to, let you know of the boundaries that you feel have been crossed, or, you know what I'm saying? Or again, letting you know what agitates you, you know what I'm saying? Kind of, again, letting you know, like, full tank or tank on empty, you know what I'm saying? It's neither good or bad, right or wrong. But it's definitely something, coming up for the masculine collective. And going back to the metaphysics of the, the teeth and the gum problems, it could be built-in aggressive expression, you know. And again, this could come from judging anger, you know what I'm saying? Like you have difficulty expressing your anger because you judged it, you know what I'm saying? Or you do judge it, you know what I'm saying? And with any of this work, when I talk about working with crystals, it's like the root cause. Like, if you're working with a crystal, of course you want it to help you amplify this energy or that energy. But, for the most part, you want it to help you transmute the root cause, you know, transmute the root cause of, these anger issues, you know what I'm saying? Or why I'm suppressing my anger, transmute the root cause of why I'm having anxiety, you know what I'm saying? Not just, oh, get rid of the anxiety, you know. It's like getting down to the root cause of the situation. And so again, also it could be a symbol of biting off more than we can chew. And that could also go into the perfectionist vibe, you know what I'm saying? Because when you're trying to be that perfectionist, you're trying to multitask so much, you know what I'm saying? In essence, you're biting off more than you can chew, more than you can digest. You're overloading, you constantly chewing, you know what I'm saying, and giving yourself a toothache, you know what I'm saying? And then also, unresolved, generally unresolved issues that have spanned many lifetimes, you know what I'm saying? And this points, definitely for me to the North Node, South Node energy, because my North Node, Aries, South Node, Libra, you know. And again, Aries energy located in the head area. And this works again for all parts of the body. Like if you find yourself having knee problems, you know what I'm saying? And it's something pointing to the Capricorn energy that you need to pay attention to. If you have problems with your hip bone, it's hips or kidneys, you know what I'm saying? That's pointing to the Libra energy, you know what I'm saying? Finding some type of balance there, it's like all shoulder neck area, you know what I'm saying? You're dealing with the Taurus energy, you know. So, again, like you could use that awareness across the board for yourself, so whenever you feel it, and as I'm sharing this, again, this is a way for you to not have to be always going to consultations or things of this nature. This is another way for you to, become aware for yourself, you know what I'm saying, without having to do so much research, because again, even with me speaking on that video I looked up, you know, I felt the internal answer first. And then, the video came as a little confirmation on top of that, but again, being able to assess that without having to, go tap into that confirmation in essence. But again, the Aries energy located in the head. So when there's toxicity expressing one of those characteristics or dealing with one of those characteristics, it becomes some type of ailment or some type of dis-ease in the body, you know. And again, this is gonna be like a collective thing, and not only just for I feel like, of course, it's like something that was brought to my attention for the divine masculine having to deal with these, processing the anger issues again on either scale, like whether it's like like not say too aggressive on a, a toxic level, you know what I'm saying? Because again, like on a level where just like an emotional explosion of anger, you know what I'm saying, like raging, like go do that you know what I'm saying, like it could either be that or or super passive, you know what I'm saying, because that's anger issues too, in the sense of like you're scared of your anger, and that goes back to again like the root cause, like why am I afraid of anger, you know oh well, when I was 12 I saw my dad flip out on my mom's, or when I was 5, I flashed out on somebody in the schoolyard, or you know what I'm saying? Like it goes back, and it goes even further than that. You know what I'm saying? Again, like on some past lifetimes type of energy. Because again, what we dealing with right now is a reflection of you know what was popping off in the past, and to kind of tie it into the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. What was dope is the main character was a lady. She had a washateria. Her husband, her daughter, and her grandfather. Basically in essence, like the main characters. You know, and as she go to pay taxes on the laundromat, or like they're trying to expand their laundromat and have another one. But long story short, her husband, while they on the elevator, while they on the elevator, he kind of like snaps out and then snaps back in, and he's like, this whole nother person in essence. But the truth of the matter is he's a part of himself from another dimension. Matter of fact, from the quote unquote alpha verse. And basically in the alpha verse, you know, it's the first universe to become aware of the other universes and how they quantumly connect with each other. So in essence, when we think of like when we talk about our higher self and things of this nature, it's that dimension of ourselves that really, really knows, what I'm saying, like the capabilities of the multi-dimensional nature, you know what I'm saying? Like when we think about how when we were growing up, we always felt like we had like that extra, help, or again what some people may coin is spirit guides or, quote unquote angels, things of this nature. But I would say more so spirit guides, higher self. You know, a part of that is, again, like that multi-dimensional aspect of self. But again, the alpha verse, the first multi-dimensional travelers, and basically, long story short, he was helping to, he would go in and out, and it kind of reminded me of the show Moon Knight. You know what I'm saying? The Marvel hero or villain. You know what I'm saying? Moon Knight, and he would, and it's also kind of pointed to, you know, uh, again, this realm being a mirror world, or all about reflections, like a house of mirrors type of energy. Because it started off, I be paying attention to the subtleties. As soon as the movie started, it had like a little mirror, you know, uh, just showing a little mirror and like reflecting off of the mirror. And this also, I think of like a Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass, but again, is speaking to those multidimensional aspects of ourselves. And even the movie Split, I done brought up, or even I always suggest like to not just dive into this one, you know what I'm saying? Because it's real. I feel like you got to be adept to watch that movie, Mulholland Drive. You know what I'm saying? Because it almost feel like it's programming as you watching it. You got to be again careful with some of these movies. You know what I'm saying? I'm laughing, but it's real shit. But because the whole aspect of like creating split personalities through trauma, because that's another thing, and how this link up movie and what I'm talking about. Like, if you had trauma surrounding your expression of anger, you know what I'm saying, then you'll possibly get to a place where you're like afraid of your anger. And if you're afraid of your anger, that causes a split inside of you. Where now you got the nice you. And what's real about it is that other aspect is still there, and it's gonna be like, again, hey, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? And even again back to the movie aspect, I thought of, because they were showing like how in one realm, say for instance, she was a chef, you know, and in another dimension she was fighting, and basically it was showing like how you could tap into the dimensions of yourself to use whatever skill set from another dimension in this now moment. So like, you know if she needed to like, fight with somebody, she tapped into the dimension of herself that was a karate master. You know what I'm saying? And uh in that connection, so basically bringing it to the pain aspect, because I was like, after watching that movie and feeling that pain, I'm like, it's almost as if a dimension, maybe in another dimension I'm probably getting hit in the face, or in another dimension, you know what I'm saying, again, like something happened to cause my jaw to hurt, you know what I'm saying, because it was also showing that where she was sitting in the movies in one dimension, and then in the dimension where she was fighting, when she got punched, the one where the other one, when she watching the movie, she kind of like, her head went to the side, like, has to be affected by that, you know what I'm saying? And again, they made it comical, you know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of, realness in that, just like also the comparison of like what we deal with on the astral planes and the astral realms, you know what I'm saying? Uh, Certain things may be happening in the astral plane that, again, and it affects you physically, you know. So again, by trying to suppress that anger, as if that's bad or not a part of you, it actually creates a clash, because it will come up and it will feel neglected. You know what I'm saying? And understanding, much love to Till Swan, running it about, parts work, and a lot of like psychological work and doing inner work, you know, but doing the parts work where you sit down and you like, go in your visualization mode of connecting with that part of yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like go in a little room, visualize going in a little room and, letting your anger in and be like, all right, anger, just run it. You know what I'm saying? And again, like, see what comes up. And again, I'm using this on anger, but this on multiple levels. So this is an alignment with my story, but of course, again, apply this however you need to apply it for your realm. You know what I'm saying? It might be a different emotion or a different thing that you may be dealing with. You know what I'm saying? You might be afraid to have fun because everything was about, like being so serious. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was like, uh, one dimension, she in a fight and feeling it, in another, and that's what I thought about for myself. I'm like, shit is probably like, or like my anger itself, trying to fight with me. You know what I'm saying? Punch me in my jaw, in essence, literally and figuratively. You know what I'm saying? And that goes across the board with a lot of things. Like my urge to drink coffee in one dimension might be because my heart rate is raised in another dimension for another reason. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so like in another dimension, I could be running, and so that's why I'm drinking coffee in this dimension, not knowing why I'm like drinking coffee, especially if I'm like doing it in a moment where I don't usually do it. It's like, all right, why I'm drinking coffee now? Probably because you're running in another dimension. You know what I'm saying? Uh, or your chest getting shocked in another dimension. So you know what I'm saying? You're dealing with that in this dimension. But again, it's all like interconnected and interweb. You know what I'm saying? And so again, and reason I felt moved to bring it up because right now, again, with all of these little, again, whether we want to pay attention to it or not, you know what I'm saying? Whether you're into astrology or not, with all of these retrograde energies and just in general, like right now, it's like getting to the nitty gritty of like, transmuting, certain energies. It's almost like last call for alcohol type of vibe. Like we need to address these situations, and the universe letting us know with, little, like, all right, it's just a bad toothache right now. But you know what I'm saying? If this continues to go unaddressed, literally, like again, like how I said, she head moving, you know what I'm saying, while she watching the movie, literally somebody be like, man, what's wrong with them, man? They on the sidewalk by themselves, you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm making light of it, but like it's real, again, real talk, so definitely, being aware to do whatever inner work that you have to do right now. You know what I'm saying? Like again, uh, hey guys, like if you got, hey guys, I'm no longer. I have to stop doing tarot readings for a second, or I gotta, stop doing this for a second. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're working a 9 to 5, like if you feel like it's that tough to take a day off, talk to source first and be like, hey, inner being source, like help me to make sure I get a day off. You know what I'm saying? So I could deal with this energy, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever you gotta do, you know what I'm saying, to face that energy, you know what I'm saying, and transmute it. And again, bringing it back to, the collective energy, again, not just for the masculine, but society in general, because this, more so speaking for in quote unquote America, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much of that passive aggressive, like, oh, it's all good, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like that people pleasing, trying to be social acceptable shit, you know what I'm saying? Because even right now, you know what I'm saying, like doing a video in an area where, they had other people sitting out here too. But, I had one one or two options. I could, oh, well, it's not socially acceptable to talk about metaphysics on this level, multi-dimensional beings on this level in front of other people. You know, I could have did that. Or, what I'm saying? It's like, hey, look, it's for whoever it's for, what I'm saying? Because, hey, on the opposite end of that, if somebody else is talking on the phone, what I'm saying, while I'm studying or doing something, I would have had to hear their conversation. And again, not on no battle type of shit, but it, in some way, just realistically, what I'm saying, it is kind of like a, like energies holding space type of, thing, what I'm saying, going on in that moment, but not necessarily a deliberate, me against them type of battle. Because in essence, again, like that's an inner thing, what I'm saying? Like, got the part of me that wants to be passive in the situation, the part of me that wants to be aggressive in the situation. Starts within me first, and then the choice was made internally, and then they reflected externally. You know what I'm saying? Again, inner outer work. But yeah, a lot of again, like a lot of just karmic energies, coming up, and again, a lot of shadow work situations. Whether it's inner child is a division of shadow work. Shadow work is the big umbrella. But again, shadow work with your inner child, shadow work with a past life. Whatever the case may be. But because it's also made me think about the connection with Doctor Strange, you know, and in general, in so many words, again, the getting ready or being ready so you don't have to get ready, because I think of like again taking care of these situations or these inner, like do that inner work, so take care of it before it could get extreme or worse. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it took we don't want to learn with that extreme pain energy. You know what I'm saying? Because harsh illness can push you into doing what you got to do. Because I think about it took Doctor Strange losing his hands as a surgeon to finally what I'm saying appreciate himself and appreciate himself from a spiritual perspective, and and become sorcerer supreme in essence. Like, but look how he got there. Like, he became sorcerer supreme and tapped in spiritually, but it was from getting in damn near a very what you call that, it's a very harsh wreck, what I'm saying. Well, almost a near death experience in essence, what I'm saying, in order to tap in. And again, we don't want to wait to that moment in essence. And again, you could check out different little insight. That's another thing, just from what I'm speaking on in this particular area. Again, this applies all across the board, so not just for your teeth. Again, different parts of the body, you know, relates to a certain zodiac sign. A certain zodiac sign represents an archetype, and also organs. You know what I'm saying? Anger connected with the liver. You know what I'm saying? And you know, matter of fact, tapping in with your yellow crystals or green crystals or yellowish green crystals. You know what I'm saying? Uh, again, helpers. Because at the end of the day, you got to dive deep into this. And it's different for different people. Some of us, some already channel their anger in a healthy manner, so it ain't that kind of like, hey, you really need to pay attention to this type of energy, like it is for some. You know, but again, asking yourself, why are you afraid of expressing this certain, emotion? You know, oh, I'm afraid of expressing vulnerability, or not say vulnerability, that's not emotion, but I'm afraid of being sad or whatever because, it makes me feel weak. know what I'm saying? And I don't want to feel weak. Oh, because you going to the pops or moms, you know what I'm saying, was like, hey, stop being a weakling when you was 5. So, you felt like that was, you know, bad or wrong. And again, the shadow self is created in the first 7 years of our development. You know, no, let me be realistic with that shit. The first 7 years of your development is a reflection of what you dealt with before you came into this space. You know what I'm saying? Whatever energies you was dealing with beforehand. Because again, with the karmic cycles, one of the easiest ways to answer why most of us are in here in a bodysuit this moment is because we having to learn a lesson that we didn't learn before. You know what I'm saying? Not some, not all. You know what I'm saying? Because some just chose to come and help. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. But for the most part, it's like, all right, I didn't fully accept my anger last time I was in this realm, or I didn't fully do this. You know what I'm saying? And again, point to the north node, south node energy. The double dragon. You know what I'm saying? Or really the single dragon when you think of it. From the perspective of Rahu and Ketu in Hindu mythology. Rahu being the head and Ketu being the body, aka so the head, north node, body, south node. Because in essence, the body, you know, is like holding on to that, that past energy. The head kind of Aries, Ram, moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Even if you not Aries, the north node energy still is like a moving forward type of energy. You know what I'm saying? And what you're not used to. In the south node is your comfort zone. Like you fall easy into this space. And again, that's not to make one good or bad in that situation. It's not to say like, all right, my north node Aries, so if I express Libra energy, that's bad. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? The Libra energy is necessary as well. Is it's just being aware to not get caught up in that comfort zone, because that's the area. If it is your south node, that's the area where you don't really grow. In essence, you're not getting challenged in that energy, because you have spent lifetimes answering or putting other people first. You know what I'm saying? To that extent, so it's time for you to tap into, you know, uh, you doing you on that level. But and with the, you know, healing the emotions, I already just did the video on the emotional freedom technique, or the EFT tapping. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Check out that video. You know what I'm saying? That's a great way to help transmute that energy. And again, you want to find ways of getting to the root cause of it. Because, like, say for instance, stuff like yelling into your pillow, or you find something to go, something that you ain't harming to go, like, break, or, what I'm saying, like, you ain't harming nobody in the process, I should say, like, go breaking something, things of that nature. But that's just temporary relief, because, yeah, you broke that glass, but if you still subconsciously looking at anger as bad, you're going to be having to keep breaking some glasses, you know what I'm saying? Like, constantly. So it's like getting to a space where you face the fact that anger is a valid, expression. So it doesn't get to an extreme, to where you have to have those releases on that level. Again, I done brought up one of the great ways dealing with that is, working out, exercising, you know what I'm saying, actually putting that intention into it, like, all right, like, I've been mad at this, or, whatever, and address that, within, or should I say again, like, address that, putting it into the intention of, you know, exercising to, like, release that energy, and that helps channel that energy, because again, that's a productive way, like, you not harming nobody else, and you're getting, some strength from it. You know what I'm saying? And I even say strength, like, because exercising in general, exorcising, like exercising a quote unquote demon, you know what I'm saying, is like, you moving certain energies around. I always use the reference of, like, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in stagnant water. You know what I'm saying? So when you're exercising and you're keeping your water moving, that prevents those energetic mosquitoes from laying eggs in your body, in essence. You know what I'm saying? In a hypothetical speaking, again, on the energetic level. And again, with other solutions, because that, want to bringing up something to the awareness, want to be solution oriented and knows what solutions to tap into. So again, the emotional freedom techniques, in general, healthy expressions of anger, you know, letting go of grudges. Again, as to that masculine energy, might have that energy of wanting to hold a grudge behind something. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I still can't get over that they done that. I'm still mad at them. You know what I'm saying? And again, there's nothing, don't label it bad, but you just know that, like, all right, but by holding this grudge, I'm throwing myself off. I'm not able to be fully present in my now moment and do what I'm here to do because I'm still trying to, hold this grudge against so and so. And also in that case, like, if it's possible, whether you might need a mediator in the situation, either a metaphysical, a spiritual mediator, some ancestral mediators or physical mediators, but having to express that anger to the person that made you mad, you know what I'm saying, or angry, you know what I'm saying, and doing it in a healthy manner, you know. But again, there's different strokes for different folks. It may not. You may not have to do that, but that is, an option that'll help, especially if, you got it in the moment. Now if things in past, it's like, all right, you're going back to, like, like 10 years later, like SpongeBob, 10 years later, you're going back to try to, you know what I'm saying, express that anger when the issue is like, but which honestly, as I say that, that may still have to be a thing though, if it, if nothing else is working, you know what I'm saying? Like, you done tried everything else, like you done exhausted all the resources of, transmuting that anger, then yeah, that would have to be the way, 10 years later. But for the most part, these other options would help you, you know what I'm saying, transmute that energy. You Again, the emotional freedom technique kind of taps into journaling in essence, but because matter of fact, it's a little bit of both. You're writing out when you're writing out your statements for the emotional freedom technique. You're also speaking on it as well. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of helps. Because again, in emotional freedom technique, it's like it's raw, no holds bar. Like, man, that shit made me fucking want to tear something head off. Like you just go in. you know. And again, it's funny how effective. I guess is more, again, coming from, some of us coming from these hood communities and areas where, we wasn't taught to deal with, mental health, emotional health, so we still might have that part of us that kind of feel a little tickled by some of these processes. I feel like it's some old woo-woo type of shit, you know what I'm saying? But it actually works, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, when I see how it works, I'm like, damn, that should be really working. Because after you kind of let go on that harsh level, it's like, damn, now I can't even really, what I'm saying, get mad, like, because you done, really got out. And especially when you're speaking to, what has you angry, and again, genuinely keying in on what's the cause of it. Again, finding out what the root cause is, doing a little visualization technique, you know what I'm saying? Whether uh, you personify the anger, like, again, seeing yourself talking to the anger, letting the anger talk, giving the anger, a hug, you know, or that part of you that dealt with that. So, like if you became, the you go into the meditation, you realize when you was 3 or 4 or 5, 6, whatever, you know what I'm saying, at whatever age you were at, where you became like, oh, that's bad. Go to that part of you and be like, hey, let's sit down and talk. Like, hey, ain't nothing wrong with expressing this emotion. You know, fuck what pops was talking about, our moms was talking about. Ain't knocking them because they ain't had all the answers. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't the way to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the whole aspect of this too. Is like generational, karma. You know what I'm saying? Like just repeated cycles throughout. Not only the physical bloodline, so to speak, but also, you know, the multidimensional, or the cosmic bloodline, so to speak. You can also channel, your anger into art or some form of expression, in some way, form, or fashion. So that's another healthy way to tap into that. But yeah, and again, everything, everywhere, all at once, and again, talk about Doctor Strange and the multiverse and just all these because what it also made me think of, like what it really pointed to, I kind of thought of the movie one, not that it was the same concept per se, you know what I'm saying, but again with Jet Li, and him, it was kind of like a different way of expressing integration, but in that movie he went and tried to defeat all the parts of himself to become the strong one, but again, and that goes where you gotta like be aware of, like, the little subtlety of the programming of it being a little off, where you're not going to fight those aspects, but you are like standing up to those parts of yourself, but it's not going to fight and murder those parts of yourself, because literally that's what he was doing in the movie. you know but that, it was a symbolic, because he became stronger and stronger as he went in different dimensions and took out, and then also it was the energy of, when it was just him and the other part of him left, even though the other part of him wasn't aware, kind of like in in this movie with the whole alpha verse, but part of him that wasn't aware, but that was the last one left, he was also just as strong and aware, as the one who was going chase down all the different aspects of self to, become this one. This was also spoken of on the Loki show on Disney, the little Loki series, where the brethren who was like the Time Lord or whatever, you know what I'm saying? He spoke on how like he met up with different dimensions of himself, you know. Matter of fact, that's so many, because Umbrella Academy like that too. Number 5 on Umbrella Academy, where he come across himself, you know what I'm saying? Almost, having a little battle with himself in essence, But that concept is again more so a psychological thing, or just psychology and spirituality is, is all one, although it's separate. And from a clinical perspective, but that's why, in essence, that's what Carl Jung was tapping into. Is like, hey man, these dreams and this psychology stuff is also metaphysical, you know what I'm saying? That's why he didn't really get down with Sigmund Freud, because Sigmund Freud wasn't really trying to too much honor the spiritual aspect of it, which, as I'm saying that, I just loaded the Red Book by Carl Jung. They say which I could just sense it from the outside looking in, because matter of fact, like dealing with, kind of side note, little side street right now, but with Carl Jung, Aldous Huxley, and all of the I made a video on it, but like them dealing with acid, and LSD, and tapping into the multidimensional aspects of self in the spiritual realm through that substance, But the red book, seems like it's that whole vibe again because he in the man verse and man and a man in his symbols, the book by Carl Jung, he speaks to the process of individuation, again like consolidating our inner multiverse, basically. But what's up, everybody in the chat? Tanya, Michael, Entwining Roots, Great Blackness, Aqua Aura. What's up? Hey, Aqua Aura. Yeah, you on point with that one. Yeah, because that's the best, that's the best way, most definitely. Yep, yep. But yeah, that's, you know, again, just the main little. Trying to do this, read the comments. Oh, intertwining roots, as you say that. That was another thing on everything, everywhere, all at once. The main character daughter, her daughter was the antagonist, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying in the movie, and basically the way they made it again is dope because they kind of put a lot of like they presented from a comic perspective, But she was like she made an everything bagel, like a little bagel. As a matter of fact, like it was like a little black hole though. She was like, I took everything across the universe and put it into this, this one bagel in essence, and it created like this little black hole type of thing. But also though, speaking of that, get into that a little bit. There was again, as I brought it up a little bit earlier, the fracturing of the mind. Because another thing too, what was happening was in certain moments, the main character, the mom, she wasn't fully integrating at certain parts, and it would cause like like a split, like they would show it as a split in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Like the mirror was split in the different little dimensions because it wasn't aligning. You know, but her daughter, you know, what had happened to her daughter was, she had, in so many words, dove so deep and experiencing every world fully at the same time, without like a harmony or integration to it. And so basically, she lost like her morality and her belief in objective truth, but she became like again this dark being. I forgot what they called her, t- I had it written down somewhere. Oh, Jobu Tupaki. But anyway, she became very dark and distant, you know what I'm saying? Because feeling like, oh shit, it's just nothing but, different multiverses and it don't mean shit, you know what I'm saying? Like she kind of was representing that perspective of the situation. And shout out to the pops, uh, the father, you know what I'm saying? You know, and in each dimension, again, like they kind of somewhat had a little bit of the same energy, and it's also in a Cloud Atlas, you know what I'm saying? Like Tom Hanks' character kind of had like somewhat of the same similarities throughout different lifetimes. Halle Berry character had somewhat of the same energy throughout different lifetimes. Uh, the which they was doing a little programming type of stuff too, but it ain't no, what I'm saying, good or bad to artificial intelligence. Everything is just how we deal with it. But I think of the little she played the android at at you could say in the future. I ain't gonna say at the end of the movie, but she played the android consciousness, and again, but it was connected to also the that timeline when they was dealing with slavery. So like I'm dealing with slavery and then androids being enslaved in essence too. But again, like all those little timelines mirroring each other, all those past lives mirroring each other. But basically, the father would help, because Joy, the daughter, was trying to get her mother to see, like, hey, just say fuck it, you know what I'm saying? Like, because also what, in essence, the personification of like, oh, I could just hop through any different dimensions. So, there's no value, what I'm saying, in one of them, what I'm saying, in essence, because fuck, I could just run away to anyone and, in essence, kind of taking away the meaningfulness of, of the experience or being or living, you know what I'm saying? So in essence, that's what that psychological perspective is speaking to. But the father was like, choosing to see the good things in life. What he said, oh yeah, choosing to see the good things in life is strategic and necessary. You know, and he was like, and this is how I fight, because he was talking to, uh, you know, his wife in another dimension where they didn't get together. In that dimension, in the part where she was in, like in other dimensions where she got together with him when it was like in high school or something. In that dimension, they went their separate ways, and she became like again a martial artist and a movie star, and he was somebody else. But they end up seeing each other at one of her movie premieres, but or at a movie premiere. Because what's funny is the movie they went to watch was actually a display of another dimension of herself in essence. You know what I'm saying? But uh, again, he was like, "This is how I fight." Again by choosing to see the good things in life, and again, choosing to see the good things in life, not from a perspective of extreme niceness, in that essence or that perspective, you know. And again, though, right now that points to why we choose love and gratitude, for being, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause the other option could be forever depressing. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely want to value our experience, and have gratitude for our experience, and not become Jabu Tupaki, because that also in essence speaks to, with certain, certain Draco or Archon beings that's like, parasitic in nature, due to a lack of that, love and compassion, you know what I'm saying? And hence why we tapping into that now because we don't want to, so many words, we don't want to fall victim to, that again, that sad or just parasitic energy in general. That's why again, like the inner work is so key right now. Keeping the heart chakra open. But yeah, she was like, because that was also a thing too, and this can happen within our realm. Like basically, when she first got awakened, when the mom first got awakened, when they was doing the little tax thing, the lady was talking to her in the office, but she was like veering off into other dimension, and daydreaming, what I'm saying, but veering off into the other dimension, and basically wasn't really there, what I'm saying. So it was also speaking of that aspect, but her daughter again, like trying to convince her to not give a fuck, was like, it's like every universe screaming for your attention, and having like fractured moments or contradiction and confusion, because matter of fact, fractured moments or contradiction and confusion comes from that lack of integrity, where there's no harmony in those different dimensions of self. So it's causing, like basically in so many words, like, because also like in the dimension where they started it off at, where she owned the washateria with her husband, she would like start a lot of projects but not finish them. Like she was like, like started this, didn't finish it, started that, didn't finish it, like kind of, because those dimensions of herself wasn't fully integrated, what I'm saying? So having a, and obviously as I'm speaking on this, with any of this, take what resonate, leave what don't. I may not be speaking to, some of you in essence, in the sense of, everybody level of how well you done integrated already, like this, video may not even be for you. But yeah, they had the little bagel, again, the everything bagel, and it was in an all white room. And also had points with the little white noise and the ringing in the air energy. And again, like I had this vision before, like the sun being like a black hole, but in essence, it's on the opposite side of the black hole. So, like again, if you're, I showed this recently in another video, but like again, if you're in a Taurus field, again, what white light, like in essence, like the sun, you know, reason why it's not seeming like a black hole, because we on the side of it where the light is rushing in. And again, when all the colors are like again, wait, 'cause I keep forgetting how to. Yeah, white is pushing out all colors, and black is absorbing. So, like again, from the top view of this part right here, if you was outside looking down at this, it would seem black because it's absorbing, all the colors. But if you're inside, where all the colors are being pushed out, it's gonna seem white. So this one portal gonna seem like a bright light from one side. Then if you was on the opposite side, it would seem like a, like a black light again. I also brought that up again in connection with the dragon energy, because again it's like that, Ouroboros type of thing, or the Rahu Ketu, you know, and all, again, like tying into the different cycles and, reincarnation. Yeah, yeah. again, that's just the the spill, integrating all these different aspects of ourselves. Because again, I'm for those of y'all coming in, to the video late, you know, the whole anger thing was just speaking from my perspective. What I just recently been through. Again, it was me telling my story. It's not saying everybody, which again, it did come up that the divine masculine will be, transmuting a lot of the energy is dealing with the Mars energy, Aries energy, or anger in general. Assertiveness, or I want to say, the Yang energy. And again, from different perspectives, either from being passive, you know, due to not integrating anger, or being toxically aggressive due to not integrating it in a healthy manner. You know what I'm saying? Either way it go, this may be a collective thing for the masculine and just everybody in general. That's still because again, everything. You know, these awakenings coming in waves. Oh, and another dope part to, the catalyst for them to jump to different dimensions. Now, for one, they was wearing like a Bluetooth on each side, of their ear, and in order to jump to tap into, you could say jump or tap into a different dimension, they'll have to do something very rational. And this was kind of pointing to the aspect of like when we say sometimes following our intuition may not seem rational in essence, uh, like in one part, he started chewing on a piece of chapstick. And then as he chewing on the chapstick in front of everybody and they all with it out, he pressed that thing and bing, tapped into a certain part of himself, from a different dimension. You know, uh, One of them was like putting the shoes on the wrong foot, you know, guzzling some orange soda, and it's also spoke to, again, like, how somebody who might be your mom, dad, or sister in this dimension or in this lifetime possibly was somebody that was, you know, could be your enemy or a different position, like somebody that was your sister could have been your mom could have been your daughter or son, what I'm saying? Like just all those different, perspectives. And again, even, in the movie it wasn't speaking to reincarnation, but again, like all that indirectly speaks to reincarnation, and hence, reincarnation and jumping dimensions are quote unquote timelines. Because again, like our timelines are kind of, coming together right now. Again, it been happening, but again, it's just more and more. And as we're in October, the veil thin, so it's going to be more and more, obvious. You know. Yeah, like you might. I think of like when I be doing stuff like, sometimes I be like air dribbling a basketball. It's like, damn, I just feel like balling right now. I might be hooping in another dimension. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to, oh, we're interdimensional beings. You're not playing basketball in a different dimension. Yes. you know, this example. Because technically, yes, there is that option. Again, like in a dimension where I chose not to, wizard carpet cleaner. Well, I chose not to, be doing what I'm doing now. I did have those hoop dreams at one time. I think most, to some extent, most of us blessed with a little athletic ability, had some type of little sports dreams at some point. And yeah, it was like, you know, uh, again, just the little layers, the lady who was over doing their taxes, you know, in one dimension, she was the wife's lover in another dimension, and then also fighting against her in one dimension, you know what I'm saying? And when she sat down and had a talk, with the tax lady, you know what I'm saying? In another dimension, she was making peace with it. In another dimension, it was some kind of peace, you know what I'm saying? Like it was showing like those little layers, how it's all was. Together. In one dimension, her and her husband was getting a divorce, you know what I'm saying, or bringing up the aspect of divorce, and then they was beefing in other dimensions, you know what I'm saying. Or her grandfather, or well, really her father, you know what I'm saying. He had a little part where he kind of turned against her, you know. But it was a pretty dope little, you know what I'm saying. Pretty little dope expression of basically doing integration work. Reminds me of also because that's the perspective of legion. Not the biblical legion. In essence, which they kind of somewhat base it off of that, but Legion from X Men, Xavier's son on X Men. But he had a show on Hulu that was pretty dope. And again, it's like just tapping into all those different, psychological, slash spiritual perspectives. You know, because again, it's different layers of speaking on, you know, on this realm and like how we dealing with it. You can see yourself as like, like a cell in a body, or you could look at it from the perspective of the certain Anunnaki farming humans, or you could look at it from a perspective of like a gardener planting seeds, aka DNA engineering. Like these multiple scopes. You know what I'm saying? On one layer, you got a toothache. On another layer, you probably getting the crap beat out you in the astral or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all the different layers, but you know, it had little hints, little helpful hints in there because I remember like when he was talking about her jumping dimensions. One of the main things he was always reminded, like just breathe. You know what I'm saying? Like center yourself. You know what I'm saying? But definitely the dope perspective. Code, we said the character C2 from Code G ass. Oh, another one. I did a video about a while back, and it just came up. Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody was definitely like also like a little multi-dimensional, you know, the deep dive on that perspective. Most definitely. Oh, intertwining roots. You watched it. Hot dog fingers. Yeah. I didn't get into the specifics, but yeah, the whole little. Because matter of fact, yeah, that was another thing. Like when like jumping, she did something, kind of unique to kind of be the catalyst for the jump. And then when she, went to jump, she didn't go to the right one. I forgot what he said could cause him to like not go into the desired dimension that you're trying to tap into. But again, like each dimension, reflected, the other one in some way, form, or fashion. You know, because again, like as she's chefing in one dimension, she using in the other dimension where she was fighting, she tapped into the chef perspective and started, like using her fighting from a chef perspective. And while the chef in that dimension, like chefing, she doing some of the same shit with the food. Because as a matter of fact, it was a hibachi girl. She doing some of the same stuff with the food as the perspective of herself in that other dimension. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. Miss Amber, you brought up also this code GIAS or GS. Check that out. Yeah, that's another thing too. Yep, the whole cosmic egg, energy coming up. But yeah, and definitely again like the whole dragon, energy, coming up a lot right now. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Speaking of that, the show House of the Dragons, the prequel slash new aspect of Game of the Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Where they tap into the dragon family. I forget their name. You know what I'm saying? But literally, again, it's telling the storyline of not only how like some of us, cosmically connected to that, reptilian energy. Again, some malevolent, some benevolent. uh, but also like showing how in the whole little Anki and Lil story, and again seeding life on planets, and that also speaks to my video I did on like the game wardens and dealing with certain quote unquote gods or deities. It's not exactly who in essence they depicted to be to some extent. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you got the whole shape shifting thing, or why the sun was depicted as so many different names, Quetzalcoatl, Buddha, Krishna, or what I'm saying, like all these different, names, guys also point to, the shape shifting energy of, certain beings in this realm. So, any insights on magnetism and how it relates to the body? Uh, only thing I could give on that is just how magnetism in general, like say for instance like me working with like lodestone crystals or my magnetic hematites, but basically the magnetic energy helps to because the ley lines in our body, and aka the ley lines in the earth plane, because it's like a body, you know what I'm saying. uh it's connected to the magnetism perspective, or should I say the health of these ley lines, uh or should I say the trying to find words for it. The healthiness is brought in by the magnetism. You know what I'm saying? The magnetism helps to realign those ley lines are, those different worlds are chakras. You know, and again, back to the perspective of Taurus fields. Yep, yep. I mean, because that's part of, again, like being here now is like, restoring, again, the mathematics, the balance, bringing the balance to the algorithm. Because in other lifetimes, we probably was being, not probably, being extreme or being petty. I'm not going to fuck with them because they skin color different. I ain't going to fuck with them because they speak that language, or I'm not gonna fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like a lot of that going on. Well, that's dope. That's dope right there. Their daughter's like the Laura Croft out here in these dream realm streets. Right? He said a whole video about shows, movies, animes. Yep. Matter of fact, some guided me to go back to why I reincarnated or how I reincarnated as slime. Like because I realized like again like certain things I done learned because again you have to go back sometimes again like different little cycles have to go back and peep out some stuff and you see it with a different eye. You may have done that with a book, or just a certain perspective in your inner gnosis or inner meditations, however you do it. you know right. Yep, like Drano for the for the ley lines, cleaning the pipes. Yep. That's basically it. We're gonna get in a few of the questions. The English language so poo, in the sense of like, because as you said that, it triggered the energy of like when you said it's important not to be humble. And I'm like, well, no, you gotta have some form of But I get what you're saying because it's not really like, it, I don't know a word for it, but I get what you're saying. And so many words is like making sure you're not like in a egoic superiority, arrogant perspective, but at the same time knowing, who you are as a being. Most definitely. Got a beat on your chest every now and again to remind yourself. Well, in essence, aqua aura, with the dream state, you know, it's almost like different layers within it from my experience, inner experience, and just research about it. You know, like on some levels, like different levels of your subconscious. And you could dive more deeper into your interdimensional aspects, and then, well, put it like this: for sure, on any level, in your dream state, you're gonna receive messages or see things on a level in a way you can receive it. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, and that's different for everybody, a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? And then it's layers to it because if you have like certain things you're dealing with, you know, from your human perspective, or you know, I mean, human or spirit, because again, as a soul, or say a soul on a human experience, you know, again, you're on a human experience, so of course, certain things dealing with your humanity is going to come up, but it depends on what you have going on, and you might be on a, you could say, a lower level of the astral plane, or on a quote unquote higher. Let me say higher and lower for lack of a better word. Might be on a more uh, lower vibrational spectrum of the astral plane, or a more higher vibrational spectrum of the astral plane. You know what I'm saying? Uh, as I say that, and the sister brought up, I think it was sis, but her daughter being like Laura Croft on the astral planes. I thought of like the movie Soul, and the brethren who was like in the human form, he's spinning, he working at a pizza shop, spinning the little sign on the corner like, hey, come and get pizza. And really while he doing that, he like in the astral planes, tapping in. And and as he tapping in on the astral planes, he actually going in the astral planes in the big boat to try to help some of the lost souls. You know, and again, it depends on the layers or levels of what you're dealing with in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Yep, right high. Yeah, the dreams is a combo. Is again, it's like a you know again, like what's trying to, speaking of that a little bit, like what's trying to be created with another, because again, we already in, a simulation in so many words, you know what I'm saying? In a being, you know, and how they creating again like another like a metaverse to resemble what we're already in. You know what I'm saying? To kind of again like to create another world for somebody to get to go into. No good or bad, right or wrong to it, but we definitely know what's up in the sense of like not getting lost in the sauce of getting again like we're trying to pull back the layers, not trying to add the layers on and go into another metaverse. Because again, from a perspective of of lostness, that doesn't mean that you don't tap in with cryptocurrency or whatever the case may be, or if you do deal with cryptocurrency, that you getting lost in the metaverse. No, you know what I'm saying. Is if you actually getting lost in the metaverse, where you literally like treat the metaverse or Decentraland. I think that's the name of the little area where you use the avatar and you could walk around and exchange Ethereum and do all that type of stuff. I don't talk on it because I'm still researching a lot of that stuff, but you know, uh, again, it's the level of how again, being in the world but not of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you could either be just tapping into it on that level, like doing what you got to do and moving around, or you could be in complete Ready Player One mode, like where you got the VR and everything on, and that's all you know. Or like the movie Surrogate with I think it's Bruce Willis. You know, where his wife was so used to her surrogate, she never wanted to pull out and be in the regular, farm. So like that, like that energy of being lost into it. You know, but again, I'm from that school of just always reminding myself, no good or bad, no right or wrong, just being aware of how you deal with things, but being aware of the truth of the matter. Like yeah, you don't, if you're trying to, release yourself from this illusion, then you're definitely not trying to put yourself into another one. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's no absolute good or bad, in that sense. Like, oh, the cryptocurrency thing is all bad. Don't fuck with it. You know, or it's all good. Fuck it's neat. It's all how you deal with it. Artificial intelligence is all, which that's crazy too. Because I even think of that like intelligence is intelligence. Fucking computer intelligent is intelligent. I get what we're meaning by saying artificial. You know what I'm saying? But fuck, this is technically artificial intelligence if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of again like it's more organic, is a more organic reflection or more of a reflection of you know uh the essence of our being on higher dimensions or on different dimensions, but it's still like a little so a bodysuit, no different from artificial intelligence. But again, intelligent is all about how you deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like again, this crystal, like tap in and meditate with this crystal, you know, or I could throw it at you. He's like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like again, it's all it's all how you tap in with it or use it. I'm using this computer to share videos to help people, on their spiritual growth, sharing meditation tips, emotional health tips, you know, ways to work with your crystals. Or I could get lost into watching CNN all the time on my computer or on TV. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just all on. You know what I'm saying? On how you tap in with it. Hey, my favorite phrase. I and I I push that so much because again, I'm here to be my unique. What's understood don't need to be explained, but I know sometimes you get new people coming in. You know what I'm saying? And I got a bunch of long ass videos with people already possibly just taking sound bites of what I say and not really watching all the video and like, hey, you said this on this video, but did you watch the whole video? You know, hey, I can't help it if I like to fully explain shit and not just always do little 10-minute or 20-minute videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it is what it is. You'll thank me later if you was to watch the whole videos. Hal 9000. 2001 Space Odyssey. But, yeah, explain the as above, so below perspective so much because, I see how one could just sit down with that perspective and just gain aha moments and insight by themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like without having to, open a book. Like, oh shit, if, you know, if the heart was the first thing to form in the embryo, then the heart energy was the first thing to form of the physical experience in this matrix. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could just kind of like, if you got one answer on one level, then it gives you the answer to all the dimensions, like to give you the answer on different dimensions, if 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 I got white blood cells in my body, that helps against infection, then some of the people in this realm and some of the things in this realm are like white blood cells. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just bam. Boop, 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 boop. You know? You can Tori Indigo, dissolve, the illusion and still remain in your body. Uh, but like you brought up because I brought up that reference too with the whole like being like Lucy on the movie Lucy, where she kind of became like literally almost like that, like a movie, everything everywhere all at once, you know. But that's from a different perspective, like that's from like so say for instance like you go to embody like everything on that level, you know what I'm saying? Again, like hence why some may transition, in so many ways. Because the first thing that came to mind was like Baba Kalinda E. I shaded Baba Kalinda E, but you know, uh, like you're so drawn into all those different realms to where it's almost like no need to, in essence, be here from that perspective. But just seeing through the illusion is not gonna automatically, make that happen. You know what I'm saying? Like by knowing that, everything is interconnected, everything is a mirror effect, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can see through that illusion genuinely, but not be to a point of like, oh, now I'm just like, the best way I could explain that too is like when I think of like some of my DMT trips, you know, where I could literally feel like with all that insight coming in from a DMT trip, like that type of energy, coming in all the time and every moment. Hence why that shit is like sparingly, you know. It's like you do a little DMT here, do it a little there, and different strokes for different folks. Some people don't, tap in with it externally. You have no choice but to tap into DMT because it's inside you. But whether you go on an experience where you you tap into it externally or internally, but either way it go, when you in those states, hence why, like when you meditate, like when you tapping into your inner DMT on that level, what you're doing, you're not being involved with the world. You're sitting, you laying down somewhere in lotus position somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So in essence, you know, like that's the perspective of, like being tapped into all that, all at once, fully in the moment, creates that situation. Not just, being aware of how everything is interconnected and, being, but cause yeah, I think of like, again, like being in on some of those trips is like, hence why silly me. I ain't gonna say silly me because I did articulate it very well. Like putting it into video form of like just sharing some of my experiences on that level. But it's like you're not able to, your human body not able to hold on to all of that, and function at the same time. You know, Again, that's like the analogy with a computer, having overwhelming access to like information or energy, to the point where it just like spaz out or fry. You know what I'm saying? Because that's also again back to everything, everywhere, all at once. You know, uh, like in essence, like a person being considered, quote unquote schizophrenic, but I ain't gonna use the clinical term because that's but like quote unquote losing your mind, from not integrating all the different aspects of self, you know, and that was correlated in the perspective of again like the daughter, kind of having that fractured, chaotic perspective, more so again like losing your mind because you're not grounded and you don't have a grip, because that's the whole aspect of what the traditional ancient aspect of a shaman, you know, uh, is that being that's able to tap into all those different dimensions and still be grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to all those different perspectives of self, tapping into it on that level, and then still being able to, have a conversation with somebody after you're done. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, because that's why everything so much of right now is about grounding, grounding, grounding. As well, to not get overwhelmed by, this Aquarius, age of Aquarius air element, you know, getting poured in like a flood of air, you know. In essence, that would most likely, in essence, that's kind of like the flood, is the air element being flooded in, like all this information and, insight could have, what I'm saying? Like an overload, like a DMT trip. Hey, it's, yep, that part. Because right now, as you bring in that, it's like being aware of, what we're paying attention to, know, because hence why I don't just like jump on every new show or movie that comes out. Like I kind of, I'm guided to check it out internally and not just like, oh, it's something new about it. Now, some stuff I had to be a fly on the wall about, in the sense of like having to kind of peep out certain dark perspectives to have a certain understanding about things, you know, because I mean that's a part of a seed going into the darkness and growing up and out of that, and as I say that, I think of like again, like watching a movie like Mulholland Drive, Eyes Wide Shut somewhat kind of got that vibe too, but more so Mulholland vibe for sure. Right, DMT released by the Pioneer, so when that pranayama breathing. Shout out to everybody, tapping in and sharing in the chat. All right, he says zeolite helps the body detox what's been unleashed. All right. Yep, matter of fact, because watching, as you brought up, the father, mother, son, the different little dimensions of the elements inside. Matter of fact, again, with this whole Game of Thrones, because even when I watch that, it's like, again, you know, the men and women in different shows, like in a movie, like the woman automatically just you could just look at it as representing the earth and water element and what the earth and water element represents on all levels, whether like uh emotion or subconscious mind. So the woman says this to the man, it's like the subconscious mind saying something to the conscious mind, or because again, and it's somewhat like what the tarot cards align with, you know, and I kind of, you got the king represents the air, the father aspect, the queen represents the water, the mother aspect, the prince is the fire, and the earth is the princess. You know, but the fire is affected by the air. You know what I'm saying? Like the wind could either blow fire out, or it actually could fan the fire and make it rise. So it's kind of like the father aspect. You know, and the water. You know, it, again on a level where because matter of fact, water and air are somewhat the same, because the atmosphere in essence is like different levels of water, and the earth, you know is surrounded by that atmosphere of water. So again, that's more of the mother aspect, and the earth is like like the princess, and that's also represented in Pan's labyrinth, most perspectives with the labyrinth and the Taurus energy, the earth energy, fixed earth, but again, like the water queen, in the water element, the queen is the most, is the head honcho. In the air element, the king is the head honcho. In the fire element, the prince is the head honcho. I think that's in the last Airbender, the cartoon. They follow the prince of fire. You know what I'm saying? In essence, you know, and what that is, and then with the earth, it's all about the prince's energy. Again, that whole marrying into the family thing, you know what I'm saying, or the incest, thing, that end up being borrowed by the Rothschild families and all this type of stuff, you know, that stems from some of the, draconian traditions, you know, and, trying to keep things in the royal bloodline or the royal families in essence, the whole pure blood or mixed blood perspective. You know? But again, ultimately, to not get caught up in the again that energy of looking to call somebody right or wrong, good or bad, is learning from the experience and just know who and what you're dealing with. Oh, that doesn't align for me, so I don't deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to call it bad or judge it. You know what I'm saying? Going crazy is a separate dimensional, right? Again, like, uh, and I use these movies because, again, they're just quick references. But yeah, the movie Split, and any movies that have to deal with, like, MK Ultra, brainwashing, mind control. Hey, shout out to the squirrel, the squirrel. Uh, but yeah, that whole perspective of quote unquote going crazy is just not having a grip on the multi-dimensional aspect of yourself. Again, the shaman and the crazy person is the same person. One just grounded. Simply put, the other one's not grounded. And again, in any realm, in essence, is about being relatable. We talk about relate sonships or relationships. You know what I'm saying? Or relationships, shin, the Hebrew letter shin, connected to spirit, relating spirit ships. You know, uh, yeah, like at the end of the day, it is about being relatable, and a quote unquote crazy person, you know, is not relatable to the majority of the percentage of people due to the lack of grounding. You know what I'm saying? Hence why they still be speaking truth. Like, you come across a quote unquote crazy person on the street, and they'll be challenging some shit that's just straight up raw and truthful. But at the same time, they probably not taking care of themselves, or whatever the case may be. So it's from in essence, a toxic or unhealthy perspective. I made a video about that and being in Venice Beach, you know, and that whole energy. But yeah, yeah, Valerian root, and that's another fun way to tap in with the herbs too. Because everything in essence is like it's like a crystal in so many words. But like, you could put or if you don't know, like, say for instance, like, you on some scientist vibes. You could put a certain plant underneath your pillow and put the intention to, like, talk to the spirit of that plant, before going to sleep. Possibly even drink a little tea of it. You know what I'm saying? Steep it. But if it's something that's unknown and you never, you don't know what it is, like, you again on some, uh, pioneering vibes, you can just tap into it astrally first, and then you'll get some insight. Because I'll see something and don't know why I want to just pick up this leaf or look at it hard, and then Next thing you know, I come across some type of insight that might speak to, some health benefits to that herb or plant or tree, that I saw, something like that. Remind me of like when I first started just like feeling energy to pick up acorns, not realizing that acorns also, again, one of the few, energies, well, other than, actual fruit trees and the fruit dropping down, the seeds out the fruit replanting itself. But, like acorns, like, because I didn't know that all that time that acorns would actually, acorns could actually become an oak tree. You know, I thought it was just like some type of nut or something like that, because that's not the same for other, like nuts or whatever. And I appreciate y'all equally. Like, just the energy of the space y'all holding, you know what I'm saying? By y'all being tapped in and doing what y'all do, I know that somewhere in this realm, it is a place where, like it, as I travel, you know what I'm saying? Physically and, astrally, I know there's beings, to connect with. With the whole Kali thing too, you know, in order to see the light, you got to be in darkness to see the light. And that connects again to Kali or Kalium, aka the uh, the Latin the Latin word for potassium, or the Latin word that goes into the, the symbol or the first two letters of potassium on the periodic table, Ka. You know, but Kalium connected to potassium, and no coincidence that potassium helps for the pineal gland to, receive light a certain way, and that goes into again like, diving deep with the crystals. It's like, it ain't just no coincidence. Like say for instance, your moonstones and labradorites. If I'm not mistaken, labradorite. Well, like most feldspars, you know, because moonstone, labradorite are feldspars, but moonstone for sure, has potassium in it. Shujalite, has potassium in it, and that potassium, helps with the first eye. You know what I'm saying? To be able to perceive that inner light. And the whole reason why we could see these little, we close our eyes and see these little visuals and little inner movies. You know what I'm saying? Because of how strong the projections of the pineal is. And again, anatomy and mythology. Anatomy is mythology by law. But man, it was a nice vibe tapping in with y'all. Oh, oh. In fact, I'm on my flow right vibes. Flow right, got my little flow right, pyrite, and again, uh, elements tell the story of the connection of the energies they connect with. Pyrite goes close to fluorite. Both help for mental clarity, help with memory, you know, all that great stuff. Y'all know what it is. Yep, moonstone. As a matter of fact, my little favorite crystal with the moonstone is a graphic feldspar. You know, it's moonstone and smoky quartz. You know, together makes for a little fire vibe. Y'all, matter of fact, speaking of the anger perspective, you know, earlier, the detox tea, some dandelion, burdock, red clover, all that good stuff to purify the blood, the liver. But also, again, like working with the herbs, you're also transmuting energetic energies. You know, mugwort, any of the bitter herbs in most cases. You know, connect with the liver. And just make sure again integrating the multi-dimensional aspects of self. Again, from my little story and my little situation, you know, integrating that anger. That's another thing too. You know, you come across it. You know, lastly, you know, like we're dealing with certain perspectives too, like in dealing with relationships, you'll come across it and see it in somebody else and judge it. You know, and that's the same perspective of judging yourself. I think about like how I used to do people with like them crying, and I used to be like, well, you know, like in so many words, try to help them to stop crying. And I realized the personification of that, you know, is like shit. That's like when I'm crying, in essence, like trying to stop myself from crying or expressing that emotion as if something is wrong with it, you know. And again, so the way you do it with other people, you know, it's speaking to, you know, the way you do it internally, you know, and becoming aware of that. Yep, the ashwagandha, definitely on point. Yeah, great one. Yeah, gotta put that. All right, quit. Y'all, yep. And just, you know, we can't necessarily walk each other home in that perspective, but I get the notion of what you're saying. You know, it's like we all just, you know, by doing our little inner work, you know, being a beacon for each other. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. But y'all know what it is. I gotta use the restroom, get something to eat. Yep, yep. Y'all know what it is. Looking for any crystal jewelry, you know, come to the Instagram at Epic Lifestyles for inquiry. You already know. Any and all donations greatly appreciated. The Cash App and the other links underneath the video. Uh, Again, if you're ever looking for any type of self-help specifics, I do have multiple playlists. Like when you click on the YouTube channel, go to the playlist and you could key in on a certain area. And I have the Eternal Health playlist that has multiple different things that you could apply, you know what I'm saying? Not just, quote unquote, words, because at the end of the day, it's sharing a message for, energies to be applied and not just to be like, oh man, that was deep, brother, you know. But most definitely, man, yeah, all of that. Yeah, man, it's great sharing space with y'all. You know, nice little energy. Full moon coming up on the 9th. Tapping in. Yeah. Yep. I appreciate y'all. Yep. Y'all know what it is, though. Peace. Now it's vibrate, not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now, gotta hit it, gotta stamp it with the affirmation. No matter how many times, sometimes the monkey mind try to get us to forget. Now it's the vibrate. Yeah. Peace.